These boneless chicken wings I bought last night, and I deliberately did not eat them because I wanted to wait until the next day, which is right now, today, to reheat them and see if I have somehow grown out of my belief that reheated food tastes nastier than fresh food. And I'm pretty sure my opinion will not have changed, but I'm willing to give it a try. So I have this mug right here, fired up, pre-warming it. Yeah, because I don't have a microwave. But with a microwave, it's even worse. But even with an oven method or a stovetop method, I cannot get over that fucking taste. Let's see if I still feel the same way. To avoid stickage, I'm using olive oil. I hate that I'm having to do that because technically it adds to a flavor, but I gotta do what I gotta do. I'm pretty familiar with these wings to know how they're supposed to taste when they're fresh versus reheated. I've never had them reheated, so we'll see. We'll see. I'm gonna predict that, of course, the sauce is gonna be hard to deal with because that mug is gonna heat and cook faster than anything else, and then it'll turn out dry and sticky. That weird crusty texture that sauces just get when you heat them up. So I'm a little worried about that, but there's residual sauce right there, so I can just scoop it out and place over it as we go to maybe make up for that. So some of them I placed upside down, some of them I placed facing up, and then there's that little bit of residual sauce. We'll see. I think I have a good method for keeping this relatively fair. Put a lid on it. And I know that some of you guys may freak out over the method I'm using to reheat, but you just gotta trust me that this does not change at all. That weird flavor that I'm here to prove doesn't go away. Because I have had reheated things in the oven, in the microwave, and over the stovetop. So the whole point here is to see that taste distortion that reheating creates. Some people say that they love it. I have always said, no matter what it is, that reheated doesn't taste better. Except for the Chinese style rice that my mom and my grandma make for the holidays. But that one makes sense because it's drowning in so much fucking sodium from the soy sauce that it serves as a marinade. But things like this, they're not marinating on anything. That's the problem. Time to turn. And see, that's what I mean. It's not gonna be perfect, but that's the point. That if I were to reheat this after it's been fresh, the reheating process would just tamper with it. What am I supposed to do? Wipe the sauce off before heating it, or leave it on its back like the sauce facing up while it heats? Then how can I ensure that it heats evenly without burning that side that's gonna be facing down on the pot? So I used the rest of the sauce that I had left over in the foil to, I guess, cover the others as much as possible. Of course it wasn't enough, which it doesn't really matter. But yeah, they're almost done. And obviously the oil wasn't absorbed evenly, but that's what I'm talking about. If I were to leave it lying on that side that doesn't have the sauce, then it'll just burn up, no matter how low I have the heat set to. But I can't keep it too low for too long because it needs to transition from cold to hot at a certain rate, or else I'm gonna get sick. They done. Final product. I don't need to be doing this. I know it's gonna suck, but here I go. So in this first bite, I discovered something interesting. That extreme crispiness, crunchiness when they're fresh, This is actually softer. Even though it's, of course, fried, it's supposed to be crispy. They're not. And I kind of like that. I like that it's a soft bite now. It's a soft bite, and now it feels like it has a little bit of juice to it. Maybe the oil did that. It broke down the texture a little bit, but again, that's the point. Whatever reheating method you choose, how does it alter the product? Since that was a little unexpected for me, now I'm gonna take another bite and focus more on the taste of it. Now the sauce, of course, it has a stickiness going on to it now because it got heated up. That seemed to have preserved its flavor relatively well. So when it comes to the flavor, it does have that weird refrigerator burn kind of taste. I can describe frozen food taste better. It's like a refrigerator burn aftertaste that it leaves behind. Well, with this, I can taste a little bit of that refrigerator aftertaste. But it's very, very, very subtle. I guess it's because it's only been there for about, let's see, I ordered this at 7 p.m. and it's noon now. So it's been, how many hours is that? 17-ish. This is not long enough for the damage to truly settle. But I can begin to taste it. I did a pretty good job. It heated up pretty evenly. Like I have had to go like in some cases. It did get super hot in the inside, which is good. I'm always paranoid about reheating things. Also, this place, they do pretty good about giving you more meat than breading. Because there are some places that, first of all, they charge you like over $30 for maybe, what, 20 wings? And there's nothing but bread in it. And then that little white part, you only see maybe like a fingernail worth of that. I think another thing that helps these is that they actually put black pepper on the breading. Let's see if the shot can capture it. If you see some little black dots, that's actually black pepper. I did not add that. That's how they come. Oh, I have a better wing that I can show that. That's on the breading. See that? They put that on there. I didn't do that. That's on the breading. I love black pepper. That's a pretty good addition, actually. Maybe that's why I like these so much. Yeah, that bite I just took, it had that weird refrigerator taste. Wasn't a lot, but perceivable. I guess I got lucky this time and I used the right amount of oil, the right temperature. Maybe this was coated just right with sauce, but I find them to be pretty tender still. Somehow they're juicy. Like the actual inside, the actual flesh. Maybe in the past, I haven't had reheated food since I was a kid. But maybe in the past, what turned me off is that whoever was doing the reheating for me maybe didn't have a good technique, and that's what turned me off. But so far with these, sure, there's that weird refrigerator flavor, but when it comes to their texture, it's not dry. In the past, when I have had reheated wings, like that meat is just stiff, it's just dehydrated, it's like eating jerky. But this, as you can see, it's pretty tender. Look at it. It's a little jiggly still. Whereas with the other reheat experiences I have, that's like super stiff. It wouldn't really move like that. See that? Also, last night, I didn't put them in the fridge like completely cold. They were mostly cold, but they had a little bit of heat left over. Like the only way you can feel it is if you open the box up, slid your hand under the foil, and kind of felt them. So I said, okay, they've only been sitting out for about 2.5 hours. Put them in the fridge. And I wonder if that had something to do. Last one. Okay, final thoughts. So I really could not taste the olive oil. I guess olive oil, to me, it's one of those things that I feel it helps enhance a flavor, but despite olive oil having a flavor of its own, I never find that taste in anything. The only time I can say I pick up on it better is if it's bread that is olive oil and sea salt. That's it, because sea salt definitely amplifies flavors. In this, I for a moment considered that since I was using that to reheat it, then it may interfere with the flavor, but nope, nothing. If anything, it helped preserve the flavor better, maybe help bring it out. Not sure what to call it, but I also enjoyed that maybe I owe to the oil the fact that the crunch of the wings was softened a little bit, because as you guys heard as I was chewing, there wasn't any crunch going on, and I like that. I can't say that I'm wild about crunchy things, except on things like chips or pickles that has a unique kind of crunch. But crunch is just one of those things that I don't necessarily appreciate on everything ever. The taste itself, internally, I very subtly, maybe on 2-3 occasions, did I pick up that weird refrigerator flavor. Maybe the flavor was forming and I was able to get to the reheating of this item soon enough to where that taste did not settle on the food. I think that this is a good reheating experience because of the nature of the wings themselves. They happen to be more meat than breading, and maybe that allowed for it to retain moisture better or absorb moisture from the oil better. At some point before beginning the reheating, I considered actually cutting the wings in half and then having, for a brief period, the side with the meat facing the oil. But I decided against it because I thought I was adding unnecessary work to myself. And on top of that, the whole point is to prove that reheating straight off just doesn't work, that I have to doctor it up in certain ways to make it work. And I'm glad that I didn't do it because it wouldn't have turned out necessary. I don't think it would have added anything. The sauce itself, it does suck that it solidifies a little bit, but at least I can say that the flavor is still there. It retains itself well. And I think that if I were really that concerned, I can always order the sauce on the side as well on a cup. And the only thing I would have against that is that usually those sauces tend to be refrigerated. So I'm just spending all this time heating this up to then dunk it onto a cold sauce. I don't like that. I don't like it when a food is hot and then I'm dunking it into a cold sauce. Room temperature would be fine, but in some cases, room temperature, depending on the season, it tends to hang out more on the colder side. For me, if I'm going to do a cold kind of sauce, it would be, I guess, something that would dress up a salad, say sauerkraut on a salad. Sauerkraut is inherently cold, so that along with the olive oil that I use as my dressing, that's it. It goes fine with my salad because salads are always cold. But on hot foods, it just doesn't belong. Well, I'm glad I tried this. I'm glad that I have the option with these specific wings of reheating within 17 hours and it not turning into a bad experience. I'm almost tempted to try this again in the future and maybe let it sit for a whole day. Maybe I'll do like 3 wings, I'll reheat after a day, and then the other 3 I'll reheat maybe after 2 days, and that could be a better experiment. But for right now, this didn't turn out bad. And that's usually what I do. In the rarest of events that I have leftovers, I try to consume them no more than a day after. And even then, depending on what it is, I guess I'm learning now, that's what gives it that weird refrigerator aftertaste. Well, there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know if you're one of those monsters in society who truly believes that something reheated tastes better. Because I will always say no.